What's up, YouTube? I'm a little bored, so I'm a little bit back for a nostalgia point of view into VHS, VCR, videotapes. If some of you do remember this, depends on the age. These were used up from around 70, maybe 75 or so, up to 2000, well into 2000, perhaps 2005, 2008, when they were replaced by DVDs and later on Blu-rays. I just got a couple of these cassettes, and you can also purchase VCR units from thrift stores. On this side you have a button, just press on it, expose the tape, and you can buy this for nothing, $1 usually, and VCRs for about $10. Sometimes they will work, sometimes they will not work, oftentimes without a remote. Let's just open the cassette, video cassette VHS. Is there a VHS on it? I don't think so. Sometimes it will say VHS. Oh, here we go. It says here VHS. I have no idea what it is, what that means. Let's just open on this. This will be very similar to a audio tape. The audio tape for the cassettes will hold only sound. This one will hold sound and image, and depends on the speed of recording. This will hold from 2 hours to 6 hours. 6 hours means it will play a lower speed and lower image quality. The image quality wasn't that bad back in the days. It depends very much on the how much the cassette will have been played back, how many times. Usually this will be either sold for home use, new, either used in rental stores. And if you would try to see a movie from a rental store, and that cassette have been already played back maybe 30 times, image wasn't really that impressive. But when those were new, if you purchase from the store, sealed for just to keep it at home, that movie, and if you had the decent VCR, I think the image was decent enough. I have to say I've never opened one till now. So I was saying the image was decent enough. Remember that we did use back then those cathode CRT big TV, heavy TV, not too flat, and also those are very boxy and not too big. The screens usually will have maybe 22 to maybe 24 inches. Past that mark, it will just become really big and extremely heavy, horrible to, if you had to move from your location, or maybe just bring a new one into your home. You will definitely need two persons and a good massage afterwards for your lower back. Okay, let's just see how this opens. So you can tell I'm in Quebec, Canada. Being this definitely is a rental, and this was a sticker. This means just rewind please, because when you would watch one of these rental, at the end of the film, all the tape will be on the right side, and by politeness you would just press to rewind, but before bringing it back to store. But some people would not press to rewind, so they had to rewind it at the store. So that's why they kindly remind you to rewind it. It has this sticker which prevents me from opening it properly. So I'm going to, looks like I'm going to go a little bit butcher on this. Let's just see. Please don't blame me too much, because this is the very first time when I try to do such thing. And actually I'm not sure. Oh yes, there's also a sticker on this side. Many of these that were purchase for home use or in video rentals, I could find CVC, like a print. I'm not sure what's that. Perhaps what could be the brand of a company that would make these things. I don't know. But there oftentimes I could find that CVC thing on them. Let's just see this open, something like that. So maybe I can talk you a little bit about those times during this interesting and a little bit destructive process. These were pretty much the norm, and the way they started is that when they the companies, perhaps Japanese companies, started creating, oh, that's pretty cool inside actually, started creating these VCRs, the unit that will play these cassettes. There was a debate, and in the end there was a law, and that law did say that if you're watching a movie or a show or whatever presentation at your TV tuner, TV screen broadcast, you were actually entitled to record that on your VHS, on VCR, on a cassette, to watch it any time later on, or how many times you would like. Basically, you could record the movie from the broadcast and just have it as your own movie without basically paying for it. Obviously, you're going to record it with those commercials. So you need to pay attention, because the TV movie would be maybe, instead of 1.5 hours, maybe would be 2 hours. So you need to just set your VCR at the slower speed, perhaps, depends on the length of the movie. But you could actually detain that movie at home legally. And at the moment when in the United States, perhaps maybe the rest of the world too, they started to consider that it's legal to have that movie for yourself without paying, just because it passed on the TV. The people started to purchase VCRs, there was explosion into sales of this VHS technology, and people obviously started to record more or less, well, legally, but not necessarily morally, those movies and content from television. Because even if it's legal, I think they put a law to be legal because it was impossible to check. It was impossible to control this. People would record at home anyway. And then you will have all these courts full with, suits, because everybody will have done it anyway, legal or not. Okay, so that's how it started. All started that explosion in sales for VCRs. The VCR is the unit, the machine where you put this cassette, and the VHS is the cassette name for some reason. Now these are tricky. When you see, if you ever had an audio tape, you would actually be able to spin this, I don't know what's the technical name for it. You will be able to spin it without putting the cassette into a cassette deck. But with VHS, you cannot spin them. If you are trying to spin them, it's not going to work. And that's because for some reason it has some more sort of a mechanism to it. Let me just try to pull something to show you. So when you get the cassette inside that machine, inside the VCR, there's plenty of things that get into these holes, into this hole. They grab the tape like this and pull the tape to read it. There's like a diode, a detector that will read actually on the tape if it's at the end of or the beginning. And there's also one small pin that will enter here. Let's see, I'm pushing with this thing from underneath, and we'll just unlock these two locking pins or tabs, and that's how you can actually start spinning these things, because otherwise, like I said, by hand you cannot spin them unless you depress this thing. It's a little bit difficult for me to film with one hand, so right now I can spin them, but that's because I did unlock those two very interesting things. These cassettes were not that expensive. I know there were several qualities. I did, for some reason, my parents didn't throw them away for their collection, so I could find in their at their place plenty of these things. And usually you would have, I think they would purchase either GVC, either TDK. There was also Sony. Obviously there were other brands. You were better to buy the good brands, not the cheap ones. But one cassette, if my memory is so, one cassette, usually maybe you would buy a pack of maybe 5 cassettes. One would be maybe $2, $3. If you'd buy it individually, it will be perhaps $3, $4, depends on the place. So we're not that expensive. And as you can tell, there is quite a bit of components in there. So there's, on the other side, there's this clip that will just press on the cassette so it doesn't wobble. This is the door mechanism, and the door mechanism has a clip which is going to be on the other side. So you need to when I press on this thing here to unlock, well, I call this door, it's not exactly a door, but more or less a door. And this automatically, when it goes inside the VCR, I will put perhaps a video somewhere, link it in the comment section. The VCR has plenty of small arm, it's quite impressive mechanism. It's all automatic, and the VCR will just, you need to push the cassette inside. The VCR will grab the tape, will open this door, will grab the whole cassette inside. Same when you eject the cassette, will push out the cassette. It's a lot of things that move in there, and that was very impressive technology, I think. And you know, now like I said, there are people who well, I didn't say it, I think, but there are still people today, 2021, and it's going to keep going on, that on forums you will find out people who still collect those VCRs, cassettes too, movies. They refurbish VCRs. Usually they try to find the high-end ones, those who have plenty of programming, editing, and so on. And there are still people, there is still a hobby about this. And why? I think there's perhaps 2 reasons. The first reason is something nostalgic, because these were, I had this in my childhood, these were just the norm in the maybe 80s, 90s. This is the first reason. But the second reason is that, you see, as we advance with all the technology, 2021, today we'll all have this in internet, or maybe on USB flash drive or something like this. It's becoming abstract. It's becoming very, you don't see the product, you don't see the movie, you don't see the storage format of the movie. You don't see how it's being played back. It's invisible today, right? Even the DVDs are just being discarded these days. So I think one of the reasons is because this, you can touch the thing. Well, you are not going to touch the tape like that, the cassette, but you can see the mechanical part of the device that was used to play back a movie or music. You see the mechanical part, it's very real. And it's also interesting to see all these robotic things into it. And perhaps in 2050, where everything was going to be just, maybe you'll have glasses and watch a movie in your glasses or something like this, I think people will find it funny to see these mechanical, physical parts, to keep them in their hand and maybe even play them back if they're still going to be working by then. So this is perhaps the second reason why people will still like these things. And I don't think they are completely dead. It's just the turntables, vinyl records. It's the same thing. It's mechanical, and it's something tangible. It's something that you can see working. So that's perhaps one of the reasons why they still are interesting. Even 2021, we are almost 2022, is December 2021. Anyhow, this I mangled it anyway, is going to go to garbage bin. But what's interesting is that if you look inside the VCR, and like I said, you will see a link somewhere. If you look inside the VCR, you'll find the way this tape is being pulled and put under tension and will spin at speed on a video head. We call that head. It's like a big cylinder that spins. And what's very interesting when you look inside the VCR, just be careful not to electrocute yourself, is that this tape, it's actually, let's just try to unlock a little bit. It's actually sits into the VCR quite under tension. It's pretty impressive. You can actually depress this to things like this. Sorry about the light. I just so if you take a tape like this, I don't think, oh, okay, I could stretch it, but it's extremely strong. It's extremely, I'll try it right now. I'll try to break it up. I cannot. It's extremely strong. Obviously, I'm not sure what kind of movie you're going to watch on this side of it, but it's under big tension, and there's not much to wear on a tape. Obviously, like I said, if you are going to play back the same cassette for 30 times, what I think what happens is not exactly there's not necessarily wear on the tape itself, but it's a demagnetization that happens. If my memory is good, because I did read about this some times ago, there are micro tiny crystals that will just be magnetized and change orientation. Then that's how you reproduce, you record, and you play back, reproduce sound and image. It's not like a CD disc or something like that. It's a completely different technology. Perhaps with time it's going to demagnetize and lose the image or sound quality, and also this will lose pretty fast image sound quality if you are recording on them several times, because if you know about the magnetic tapes, it's the same for the music tapes, cassettes. These things, you do not erase what's on them. So you have a movie here, you do not just have a button to erase it on the VCR. I don't think that would ever exist. You simply record again over it. That's it. You erase what was previously and just record. It's like you put a new sandwich, ham on a sandwich, whatever. Maybe I'm hungry now. So you will just basically press on record, and it's going to over record over what was before, and the before thing is going to completely disappear, and you will have the new thing, the new image, a new sound. And also, just like on music cassettes, you will always have, just try to keep it like this kind of slot. When it's empty, you cannot record on it unless you put a piece of tape, maybe cover it with a piece of tape. And usually, obviously from video stores, is going to be empty. If you buy a movie from a shop for yourself, it's going to be empty. But if you buy a virgin cassette, a cassette that's empty to be recorded by yourself at home, there will be a plastic piece covering this slot. You can always break that plastic piece after recording to be sure no one is going to record by accident. And again, if you have a hole here and you still want to record over that tape, you just put a tape on to block this hole, to fill it if you want, and then you could record over the cassette. There is inside VCRs, there's a small pin that tries to get in there. If it's empty, it will not record whatever you try. If it feels there is a plastic thing or it's filled with something, you will be able to record on the tape by pressing the record button. Okay, so you certainly, pretty surely, you are ready. While perhaps going down the highway with your car, you have already seen this type at some point in your life, one of these tapes flying in the wind, you know, long tape flying in the wind by the highway side. Someone had fun with them, just perhaps throw a roll like this, and will just the tape will just unroll in the wind and will stay there. These are pretty interesting. It's not too heavy, and I believe this could go as long, the tape, as maybe 500 yards or so. So it's pretty long. Yep, this is how it looks, about more or less. I think it's cool to watch it like this. So that's the case. All technology, I imagine if you had 50 films, well, you will have 50 cassettes. This will hold between 2 and 6 hours. And that's perhaps one of the difference with the DVDs, which the DVD will not hold 6 hours of content. The VHS cassettes would hold, and that was an advantage. Also, the other advantage of the VHS technology is that you could record on it, while on DVD, Blu-ray, at least in the first years of the technology, you could not record at home, and even afterwards, it was not exactly the easiest process to record on them. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just a video a little bit to present these things. This look a little bit like reel-to-reel tapes, if you know, perhaps those machines that will play music that were used, well, perhaps from the 50s or so. And those reel-to-reel tapes have been used at the same time as the turntables. And the difference and the reason why people would buy reel-to-reel tapes, audio tapes, those big machines, vertical if you want, is that they could record on the tape, because those reel-to-reel machines would use the same magnetic tape, while the turntable will not be able, you will not be able to record obviously at home. Yeah, that's why the reel-to-reel machines would use the same technology, at least the same magnetic tape, the same idea basically as the later video VHS. One of the things, perhaps just out of curiosity, you see these cassettes are not heavy, but their size, it's basically is my palm, my hand. And I might be wrong, but I believe the first video cams, so the first recorders that you could hold on the street, portable recorders that you could hold on the street to film, or in the studio and so on, the filming cameras, I believe the first ones, video ones, would use the full size of cassette. And only later on, perhaps in the 90s or so, they switched to Hi-Fi 8 or something like this, a video special cassette. I do have one. No, I don't have one in hand. Those smaller cassettes will be used in the video cams because they were much smaller, and those will be used to record, to film whatever events would be to film. But on the first video cams, they would use the full size of cassette, and obviously those video cams will be really big and heavy. You would hold them on your shoulder, and I don't think it was that much of fun to be a cameraman back in the days. I could not resist. So, like I said, these are those video cassettes which were used in video cams. So we were used solely for filming. I don't think these were any time put actually into VCRs directly for playback. The VCR would use the big cassette, and this was for the filming cameras. This would be the later technology in filming cameras, the last actually also technology. So originally the cameras would use the big cassette, and they did switch. And the name for this, it's Video 8, something like that. Also you have this recording mode, long play, short play, maybe some else. Yeah, I don't remember what was the length for the video playback on this. Good question. If I don't forget, perhaps I'll try to give you the information. The same idea with those small holes to basically this was a safety for anti-recording, so you don't over-record if you know you have a content that you don't want to erase, because recording on it would always erase what was prior on the tape. Also depends on the recording position on the tape. We also have this tiny little switch to expose the tape, and the tape, it's smaller. Let's make some place. It's less wide than this. See how can I put it on the side. So it's a tape that is less wide. I'm not sure about, I could discuss about the quality of these cassettes. The film quality, perhaps you will not be able to give the same quality as a video cassette that would be purchased originally in store with a movie on it. The film quality would also depend on the filming camera on this, but it was not exactly something amazing. Perhaps you would, if you would have a very high-end filming camera, then it's going to get you a better image, but it wasn't that impressive. I'm not comparing it with DVD, just give an idea. Back in the days, it was not perfect, really not perfect. This is very small, and let's just perhaps hold the cassette here, and you can tell I was pretty accurate when I show you that the size would be this much. It's not 1/4 of the big cassette, but it's tiny. The side by side, let's see if I can film this, it's very thin. So this helped the camcorder, the filming camera, to become much smaller. Well, much smaller, yeah, quite significantly smaller. There were at least 3 generations of filming cameras. The first generation using the full size of VHS were very big and heavy, but also sometimes, quite often times, more advanced, perhaps would had better lens too. The second generation that came with this was smaller in size than the first generation, but still pretty bulky. And there was a third generation and last generation that used this technology, and the cameras, I don't have it right here with me, were small and very compact in hand. Not too heavy, but much more compact than the first generations. Now, if you want to compare this cassette, I have here an audio tape. So this is going to record only sound for just, if you know those Walkman cassette decks. It's almost the same. Sorry, so it's not. I did remove it. So it's almost the same size, very similar in size, but not exactly the same. It's just the audio cassette. It's slightly taller, but also much thinner. It's about the same weight. You can tell that the tape, it's a little bit different. Also, the tape would be larger on the video one. So if I put the tape side by side, I can tell the difference. It's significantly larger. So that means perhaps better information, but also better quality of the recording. This one came like this with a case. Is just usually this will be translucent like this. This one also had a case. The case is fairly similar, fairly similar. And I do have something more to show you. It's always tricky to put this back in place. You never know which way it goes. Like this. Yeah, I think it goes like this. Oh, it goes both ways because the audio cassette go only one way. Do I still remember that well? No, they go like this, so you cannot put them this way. But I do have another cassette because I was playing this cassette. I will make a video one day about cassettes. This one is the very baby cassette. Unless perhaps some technology was used for spying, this was the smallest consumer. I don't know if professional were different, but consumer tiny cassettes for recording audio, and these were used mainly on these hand recorders. You could keep this in hand and just throw this cassette in there. We'll go this way, and you can just play back the thing or record on it. So just for the sake of it, again, this one perhaps goes like that. Yep. Just for the sake of it, you can tell, perhaps see it in the image. 4 different technologies: video, audio, very different sizes. If you can compare them this way, perhaps. All this magnetic technology, magnetic tape for recording playback, used from around 80s, 90s, 2000s, an era of magnetic tape, basically. That gives you an idea. Okay, thanks for watching.